Hello everyone, before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get into it. Today's story is about a wealthy businessman, James Wilder, who finds himself in an unexpected situation. James is a man who seems to have it all: the private jets, the expensive cars, the mansions that stretch for miles, and a booming global company that makes millions each day. But what most people don't know is that James is struggling with a personal issue that could affect his career and his reputation. You see, James has to get married. And it's not for love. No, it's not some romantic fairy tale, but a contract, a deal. His company needs a boost, and the board of directors insists he gets married to improve the public image of the company. But here's the catch: it has to be a marriage of convenience, a fake one. To the outside world, it's a real marriage. To James and his bride, it's strictly business. This is where Claire Mitchell enters the picture. Claire is an ambitious woman who's been struggling to make a name for herself. She's got the brains, she's got the drive, but unfortunately, not the connections. One evening, at a gala where she's hoping to network with some influential people, she's approached by a representative from James's company. The offer seems too good to pass up: get married to James Wilder, secure a large sum of money, and in return, help him save his business. Claire is hesitant at first, but with her back against the wall and not wanting to pass up this golden opportunity, she agrees to play her part in this high-stakes game. And so, the deal is made. James and Claire enter into a fake marriage that is meant to look perfect on the surface. They take photos together for the media, attend public events, and even share the occasional kiss for the cameras. To the world, they are the ideal couple. But behind closed doors, things are a bit different. James and Claire barely know each other, and the tension is palpable. There's no affection, no spark, just two people fulfilling their end of the bargain. However, as time goes on, things begin to change. Claire starts seeing a side of James that no one else does, the side of him that's not just the wealthy businessman but a man who is dealing with immense pressure, loneliness, and a deep desire for genuine connection. But what happens when the lines between fake and real start to blur? Claire begins to question everything. She never expected to develop feelings for her husband, especially one she married for money. And James? Well, he's starting to see Claire in a whole new light too. Maybe it's not just the business deal they're in. Maybe there's something more here. But can a marriage based on a lie ever turn into something real? Or is it too late for both of them to escape the contract they've signed? Now, let's rewind and take a deeper look at the main character, James Wilder, and the situation that led him to this drastic decision. Hello everyone, before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into the story. Today's story is about a wealthy businessman, James Wilder, who finds himself caught in a situation he never expected. James is the kind of man who seems to have everything: private jets, luxury cars, sprawling estates, and a booming global company making millions each day. But what many don't know is that James is dealing with a personal crisis that threatens both his career and reputation. You see, James is under pressure to get married. But it's not for love. It's a business deal, a contract. His company needs a boost, and the board insists that he tie the knot to improve the company's public image. But here's the twist: it has to be a fake marriage. To the world, it's real. But to James and his soon-to-be bride, it's strictly business. Enter Claire Mitchell. Claire is a driven woman, determined to make a name for herself. She's got the brains, the ambition, and the talent, but lacks the connections she needs to break into the big leagues. One evening, at a high-profile gala she attends hoping to network, Claire is approached by a representative from James's company. The offer seems too good to pass up: marry James Wilder, secure a generous payout, and in return, help him save his business. At first, Claire hesitates, but with her back against the wall and no better option in sight, she accepts the deal. And just like that, James and Claire are married, on paper. The marriage is a performance for the public eye. They pose for photos, attend events together, and share the occasional kiss for the cameras. To the world, they look like the perfect couple. But behind closed doors, things are far less glamorous. They barely know each other, and there's no chemistry, just two people fulfilling their end of a business contract. But as time passes, something unexpected happens. Claire starts seeing a different side of James, the side that's not just the wealthy businessman, but a man under immense pressure, loneliness, and a deep yearning for real connection. But what happens when the line between fake and real starts to blur? Claire finds herself questioning everything. She never imagined developing real feelings for her husband, especially not one she married for money. And James? Well, he begins to see Claire in a different light too. Could it be more than just business? Could this contract turn into something real? But can a marriage based on a lie ever become real? Or are they both trapped in a contract they can't escape? Now, let's rewind and take a closer look at James Wilder, the man who set all of this into motion, and how he found himself in this mess. Now that we've set the stage, let's dive deeper into the lives of James and Claire, and the complicated dynamics of their fake marriage. After months of public appearances, press releases, and carefully orchestrated smiles for the cameras, James and Claire have perfected the art of being the ideal couple. To the world, everything is going according to plan. But behind closed doors, things aren't so seamless. Claire is still adjusting to her new life, one that's filled with luxury, but also loneliness. She's moved into one of James's many mansions, but she rarely sees him. He's always working, always on the phone, or in meetings. The grand halls of the house feel empty without him. The silence is almost deafening. Claire tries to fill her days by exploring the estate, reading, and trying to keep herself busy, but she can't escape the feeling that she's just a placeholder in James's life. At first, she was okay with it. After all, she agreed to this arrangement for money and stability, not love. But the longer she stays, the more complicated things become. She starts to see small things that make her question her decision. James, while distant, isn't cruel. He treats her with respect, though the affection they pretend to have for each other feels hollow. He's not exactly cold, but he's not warm either. Their interactions are brief and formal, but over time, Claire notices something different. When they share a meal together or attend an event, his eyes linger on her just a little longer than before. And it's not the look of a businessman managing a contract, it's something more personal. She starts to wonder if there's more to this marriage than just business. James, on the other hand, is becoming more restless. The pressure from the board and his investors to maintain the image of a perfect family man is weighing heavily on him. But as time goes on, he finds himself looking at Claire in a way he never expected. He sees how she handles herself in public, always composed, confident, and charming, despite the fake nature of their relationship. It's something he never anticipated, admiration. He begins to wonder if he misjudged her when they first met. He starts to question the arrangement he thought was purely business, and he begins to feel a tug of something more. But every time he tries to approach her with anything beyond business, he pulls back, reminding himself that this marriage is a lie, a contract he can't afford to break. But then, something unexpected happens. One evening, after a high-profile charity event, James and Claire are alone in the car, the city lights flickering in the background. The tension between them is palpable. Claire, frustrated with the charade, turns to James. "Do you ever wonder," she says, "what would happen if this wasn't fake? If we could just live a normal life?" James looks at her, surprised by the question. For a moment, he's silent. But then, his gaze softens. "I never thought about it like that," he admits. "I think we're both stuck in this contract." The honesty in his voice catches Claire off guard. It's the first time he's spoken to her like this, without the business facade. For a brief moment, there's a connection between them, a fleeting moment of vulnerability that neither of them expected. As the car pulls up to the mansion, the conversation ends, and the walls between them go back up. James steps out first, followed by Claire. The night resumes as if nothing has changed. But for both of them, something has changed. Claire's heart is beating faster than usual, and James can't shake the feeling that maybe, just maybe, he's starting to care about her more than he ever thought possible. But they're both caught in a web of lies, and neither knows how to escape. As the days pass, the tension between James and Claire continues to build, both internally and externally. They're no longer just pretending for the public, they're beginning to wrestle with their own emotions. Claire tries to keep her distance, reminding herself that this was never supposed to be real. She's still here for the money, for the stability, and to keep up the appearance of a perfect marriage. But it's becoming harder. The moments with James, however brief, linger longer in her thoughts. She notices how he seems to be more attentive now, more present in their conversations. His small acts of kindness, like offering her his coat when the weather gets chilly, or taking an extra moment to talk to her at events, are starting to mean more than they should. She knows she shouldn't read too much into it, but it's hard not to when her own feelings are becoming more complicated. One night, as Claire sits in her private office, going over some paperwork, she's interrupted by a soft knock at the door. James steps in, looking uncharacteristically nervous. "I was wondering if you'd like to join me for dinner tonight," he asks. It's casual, simple, but there's something in his tone that catches her off guard. Claire agrees, and they head to a small, intimate restaurant that James frequents. The restaurant is quiet, with soft lighting and a warm atmosphere that seems worlds away from the public image they've been cultivating. Over the course of the evening, they talk. Not about business, not about their public personas, but about real things. Claire finds herself laughing, genuinely enjoying his company. James opens up in a way he never has before. He talks about his childhood, about the challenges of growing up in a family where appearances were everything, and how he was always expected to be perfect. It's the most personal conversation they've had since their marriage, and Claire is taken aback by his vulnerability. For the first time, she realizes just how much pressure he's under. As they leave the restaurant, walking back to the car, James hesitates. "Claire, I know this marriage is complicated. But I want you to know, it's not just business for me anymore." His words are slow, deliberate. "I don't want to keep pretending. I don't want this to be a lie." Claire's heart skips a beat. She looks at him, unsure of how to respond. She wants to believe him. She wants to let herself feel something for him, but she's afraid. Afraid that if she lets herself go, she'll be hurt. Afraid that this is just another act in their charade. But then, something changes. James reaches for her hand. It's a simple gesture, but it's enough to make Claire's breath catch. For the first time since their marriage began, she doesn't feel like a pawn in a game. She feels like a person. The rest of the night passes in silence, but the air between them feels different. The walls they've both built around themselves are starting to crack, and the more they try to hold back, the more they realize they can't keep up the facade forever. James is starting to see Claire not just as his contract wife, but as someone he could genuinely care for. And Claire? She's beginning to wonder if she's feeling the same way. But they both know the truth, they can't escape the consequences of their arrangement. They're trapped in a marriage that started as a lie, and no matter how real their feelings might be becoming, they're still bound by the contract. But as the days turn into weeks, the fake marriage begins to feel more and more real, and neither of them knows how much longer they can keep pretending. The days continue to pass, and the tension between James and Claire becomes almost unbearable. Both of them are starting to feel the weight of their emotions they never expected to develop. The lines between business and reality blur more with each passing day. Claire tries to push back against what she's feeling, telling herself that this marriage is still just a contract, a deal for money and status. But it's harder now. She feels things for James that she can't deny, and it's confusing. He's no longer just the distant businessman she agreed to marry. Now, he's someone who genuinely cares about her, someone who listens when she speaks, someone who makes her laugh. It's not supposed to be like this, but it is. James, on the other hand, is also struggling. He's always been a man of control, his life, his company, everything has always been under his command. But with Claire, things are different. He feels like he's losing control. He wants to open up to her, but the fear of ruining everything stops him. He's not used to feeling vulnerable, not used to feeling like he needs someone. But with Claire, he feels something real. Something he's never experienced before. And it terrifies him. The more time he spends with her, the harder it becomes to ignore his growing feelings. He's caught in a conflict between his duty to the company, the public, and his desire to make their marriage real. One evening, after a long week of meetings and events, James invites Claire to a private dinner. It's becoming a routine for them, spending time together without the cameras, without the public eye. This time, however, the atmosphere is different. There's a sense of urgency in James's eyes as he looks at her. "Claire," he begins, his voice softer than usual, "I've been thinking a lot about us. About this marriage. I know it started as a business deal, but it's not like that anymore. I can't keep pretending. I don't want to hide my feelings anymore." Claire looks at him, her heart racing. She didn't expect him to say this, not after everything that's happened. She wants to respond, but words escape her. James continues, I don't know what this is, but I know it's not fake. Not anymore. Claire's breath catches in her throat. She doesn't know how to react, how to process what he's saying. She feels the same way, but she's afraid. Afraid of letting go. Afraid of letting herself fall for him when the marriage was never meant to be real. She takes a deep breath and finally speaks. James, I don't know what you want me to say. This isn't just a business deal anymore, but I can't just ignore the fact that we're still bound by that contract. We're still trapped in a marriage that's not real, no matter what we feel for each other. There's a long silence between them. The air feels thick with unspoken words, with things they both want to say but can't. Finally, James speaks again, his voice low. I know. But I can't pretend anymore. I want something more than this. And I'm willing to take the risk, even if it means everything we've worked for could fall apart. His words hit Claire like a wave. She knows the consequences of their actions. She knows that if they continue down this path, they risk losing everything, the business, the money, the stability. But she also knows that she can't keep pretending. Not anymore. As the evening goes on, the conversation shifts. They talk openly about their fears, their hopes, and what they both want from the future. For the first time in their entire marriage, it feels real. It feels like they're finally being honest with each other. But the question still lingers, can they make this work? Can they build a life together when everything around them is built on a lie? Neither of them knows the answer, but they both know one thing for sure, they can't go back to the way things were before. Something has changed, and there's no turning back. As the days go by, James and Claire begin to navigate the new territory they found themselves in, no longer just business partners in a fake marriage, but something deeper, more complicated. Their feelings for each other are undeniable, but they still face the looming question, can they make this work? James has never been a man to take risks, especially when it comes to his business. But the more he spends time with Claire, the more he realizes that she's not just a contract, not just a means to an end. She's become someone he can't imagine his life without. And that terrifies him. He knows that if they try to make this marriage real, they risk losing everything, the company, the image, the carefully constructed world he's built. But at the same time, he can't ignore the pull he feels toward her, the way she makes him feel alive in ways he never expected. Claire, on the other hand, is also struggling. She never expected to develop real feelings for James. She came into this marriage for stability, for security, and for a chance to secure her future. But now, as she spends more time with him, she realizes that she's starting to care for him in ways she didn't think were possible. She still doesn't know if she can trust him completely, and she's afraid of what might happen if they take their relationship further. But she can't ignore the chemistry between them, the way their conversations flow, the way he makes her feel seen in a way no one else has. It's confusing, and it's overwhelming. She wants to keep her guard up, but it's getting harder with each passing day. One evening, James invites Claire to a private dinner at his favorite restaurant. It's a place they've been to a few times before, but tonight feels different. There's an unspoken tension in the air, a weight that neither of them can ignore. As they sit across from each other, James looks at Claire with a seriousness she hasn't seen before. I've been thinking a lot about everything, he begins. About what we've been doing, about what we've become. And I don't want to keep pretending anymore. Claire's heart races. She's afraid of what he's about to say. "What do you mean?" she asks, her voice steady, though her mind is racing. "I mean, I don't want this to be a game anymore," James says, his eyes locking onto hers. "I know we started this marriage for business reasons, but it's not just about that anymore. I don't want to keep lying to you, to myself, or to the world. I care about you, Claire. And I want something real with you." Claire is silent for a moment, processing his words. She's stunned, unsure of how to respond. She's wanted to hear this from him, but at the same time, she's afraid of what it means. She knows the stakes are high, that if they pursue something real, they could lose everything. But a part of her is ready to take that leap, to see where this could go. Finally, she speaks. "James, I care about you too. But I don't know how this can work. We're still married because of a contract, not because we chose each other. What happens if everything falls apart? What happens if we lose everything?" James reaches across the table and takes her hand, his touch warm and reassuring. "I don't know what the future holds," he admits. "But I do know that I don't want to live in a lie anymore. I want to see where this could go, even if it means taking risks." Claire looks into his eyes, searching for any sign that he's just saying what he thinks she wants to hear. But she doesn't find it. Instead, she finds sincerity, vulnerability, and a deep longing she didn't expect. For the first time since their marriage began, it feels like they're finally being honest with each other. As the night continues, they talk more about their pasts, their fears, their hopes for the future. For the first time in months, it feels like they're truly connecting, not as business partners, but as two people trying to figure out where they stand. As they leave the restaurant, the weight of their conversation still lingers in the air. The night is far from over, but they both know that something has shifted between them. They're no longer just living in a marriage of convenience. They're on the edge of something real, something that could change everything. The next few weeks bring a sense of unease for both James and Claire. They know they've crossed a line, and there's no going back. Their relationship, which started as a mere business arrangement, has turned into something neither of them fully understands. But as much as they both feel something real for each other, the fear of losing everything is never far from their minds. James still has his company to think about, the public image to maintain, and the high expectations of his investors and family. Claire, though she's becoming more emotionally involved with James, knows the consequences of letting herself fall too deeply. She's not sure if she can trust this new side of him, or if it's just another part of the charade they've been playing for so long. One evening, James and Claire attend an upscale event for one of his business ventures. It's a lavish affair, filled with wealthy investors, CEOs, and media personnel. As always, they pose for the cameras, smiling and holding hands, the perfect power couple. But behind the scenes, the air between them is tense. Claire is growing increasingly restless. She hates the fake smiles, the pretending, the constant pressure to maintain the illusion of their perfect marriage. She wants something real, something that isn't tainted by contracts or expectations. She wants to know if what they have is truly genuine, or if they're just trapped in a web of their own making. After the event, they return to one of James's mansions, and for the first time in days, the walls between them start to come down. Claire sits down on the couch, her eyes tired from the evening's events. James follows her, sitting down beside her, the silence between them heavy. "Claire," he says, breaking the quiet, "I know this isn't easy. I know I've kept you at a distance, but I want you to know that I care about you. More than I've ever cared about anyone. Claire looks at him, her heart pounding. She's heard those words before, but there's something different in the way he says them now. This isn't just another part of the act. This is real. James, she replies, her voice soft but steady, I care about you too. But we can't keep pretending that everything is okay. I'm tired of living in this world where everything is just for show. We've been lying to ourselves, to everyone around us. And I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending. James looks at her, his face filled with regret. He reaches out and takes her hand in his. I don't want to pretend anymore either. I want to be with you, Claire. I know it's risky, I know it's complicated, but I'm willing to take that risk if it means being with you. I want something real. Something that's not just for the cameras, not just for the business, but something that's ours. Claire feels the weight of his words. For a moment, everything else fades away, the cameras, the contracts, the expectations. It's just the two of them, sitting together in the quiet of the house, their hands intertwined. She can feel the sincerity in his touch, the vulnerability in his eyes. It's a side of James she's never seen before, and it shakes her. For the first time since they've been married, she feels like they're finally on the same page, like they're finally being honest with each other. But even as she feels the hope rising within her, there's still that nagging fear. What if everything falls apart? What if they lose everything they've worked for? Can they truly build something real on a foundation of lies? James seems to read her thoughts, his voice soft as he speaks again. I know the risks. I know what this could cost us. But I don't care about any of that if it means being with you. I want to try. I want us to have something that's real. Claire looks at him, her heart racing. She wants to believe him, wants to take that leap with him. But the fear of losing everything, of losing the life she's worked so hard for, still holds her back. I don't know if I can, she admits, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know if I'm ready to risk everything. James squeezes her hand gently. I'll be here, no matter what you decide. But know this, I'm willing to risk it all for you. And I think you're worth that risk. The words hang in the air between them, heavy with meaning. Claire feels her resolve cracking. She knows the decision she has to make, but she's not sure if she's ready to face it. The night stretches on, and as they sit in silence, the weight of their unspoken emotions is almost palpable. Neither of them knows what the future holds, but one thing is clear, they're no longer living a lie. They're standing at the edge of something real, and the only question now is whether they're both brave enough to take the leap. The days following that conversation are filled with uncertainty. James and Claire both know that something has changed between them, but they also know the risks of allowing their feelings to take center stage. They can't shake the weight of their respective worlds pressing down on them, the expectations of the company, the media, and their carefully crafted public personas. The fear of losing everything is still there, lingering in the background like a shadow. But as time passes, it becomes clear that they can't keep pretending. They're caught between the life they've built and the life they could have together, and neither of them is sure if they're ready to take the leap. James continues to watch Claire closely, his admiration for her growing with every passing day. He sees the way she handles herself, how she's become more than just his contract wife, but a woman he truly respects. He starts to see her as someone he can rely on, not just for appearances, but as a partner in every sense of the word. Claire, for her part, is beginning to feel the same way. The walls she's built around herself start to crumble little by little. She starts to believe that James is being sincere, that this isn't just another business arrangement, and that their feelings for each other aren't just a passing thing. But despite this growing connection, Claire can't help but be haunted by the idea of losing everything they've worked for. The contracts they signed, the money, the company. If they give in to their feelings, they could lose it all. It's a heavy burden to carry, and Claire doesn't know if she can take that risk. She's worked too hard to get where she is, to let it all slip away for a chance at something that could very well end in disaster. One evening, as they sit on the balcony of James's mansion, overlooking the city skyline, Claire finally speaks what's been on her mind for weeks. "James, I can't keep living like this. I'm scared. I'm scared of what this could cost us. I don't know if I'm ready to risk everything." James turns to her, his eyes soft but serious. "I understand, Claire. I'm scared too. But I've never felt this way before. I don't want to keep pretending, and I don't want you to either. We can't live in fear forever. We have to make a choice." There's a long silence between them, the weight of the decision hanging in the air. Claire looks out at the city, her thoughts racing. It feels like everything she's worked for is on the line, and yet, she can't ignore the pull she feels toward James. For the first time in a long time, she starts to believe that there might be more to life than the business deals and the contracts. Maybe it's time to take a chance on something real. She takes a deep breath, turns to him, and says, "I'm willing to try. But we have to be honest with each other. No more pretending. If we're doing this, it has to be real." James's face softens, and for the first time in a long while, he smiles. "I agree. No more games. This is real, Claire. And I'm ready to take that risk, with you." As the night stretches on, the uncertainty between them starts to fade. They're no longer trapped in the lie of their fake marriage. Instead, they're standing on the edge of something new, something that could change everything. They don't know what the future holds, but for the first time, they're ready to face it together. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. The next few weeks are filled with a mix of hope and fear as James and Claire begin to navigate their new reality. They've made the decision to move forward with their relationship, no longer pretending that their marriage is just a business arrangement. But even as they embrace this new chapter, the weight of their past choices lingers. James is still running his company, juggling the demands of the board, the media, and the ever-watchful public eye. Claire, too, is facing her own challenges. She's beginning to grow more comfortable with her new role, not just as James's wife, but as his partner in every sense of the word. Yet, despite the changes, neither of them can completely escape the fear that everything could fall apart at any moment. The future feels uncertain, but they both know that they're at a crossroads. One evening, after a long day of meetings and press conferences, James and Claire sit down together in the quiet of their home. The stress of the day is palpable, but there's also a new sense of connection between them. Claire looks at James, her thoughts heavy. "James, do you ever think about what happens if this all falls apart? What if we can't make it work?" she asks, her voice filled with a mix of hope and doubt. James takes a deep breath, his gaze steady. "I think about it all the time, Claire. I've always been a man who plans for the worst. But I can't let that fear control me anymore. I've made a choice. You're the one I want to be with. I know there are risks, but I'm willing to take them." His words bring a sense of peace to Claire, even if it's only temporary. She's still scared, still uncertain, but there's something about the way James says it, with such conviction, that makes her believe in the possibility of a future with him. I'm scared, too, she admits. But I think I'm ready to try. We can't keep living in the shadow of fear. If we're going to do this, we have to trust each other, fully. James nods, taking her hand in his. I agree. We can't keep holding back. No more pretending. Let's build something real together. The words hang in the air between them, both a promise and a challenge. They know the road ahead won't be easy. There will be obstacles, both personal and professional, that they'll have to face together. But for the first time in a long time, they both feel a sense of clarity. They're not just playing a role anymore, they're finally being honest with each other. The next few months pass in a whirlwind of change. James's company is going through some major restructuring, and the pressure is mounting. But through it all, he and Claire have found a new rhythm. They're no longer just partners in a contract, they're partners in life. They face the challenges together, supporting one another through every twist and turn. It's not always easy, but they're learning how to trust each other in ways they never did before. As time goes on, their bond continues to strengthen. The public still watches them closely, but now, they're not pretending. The smiles they share at events are genuine, and the way they support each other in private is real. For the first time, their marriage is no longer a facade, it's a partnership built on mutual respect, trust, and love. But there are still moments of doubt. Claire sometimes wonders if they made the right decision. The fear of losing everything still lingers in the back of her mind, especially when she thinks about the sacrifices they've both made. But when she looks at James, when she feels his hand in hers, she knows that this is what they both wanted all along. This is the life they've chosen. And no matter what comes next, they'll face it together. As the months pass, James and Claire continue to grow both individually and as a couple. Their marriage, once born out of necessity and convenience, has transformed into something real. Something neither of them ever expected. They've faced challenges, personal, professional, and emotional, but through it all, they've learned to trust each other more deeply. Claire's initial doubts and fears have slowly faded away, replaced by a sense of confidence in their relationship. James, too, has let go of the tight grip he once had on his life, realizing that some things, like love, can't be controlled. Together, they've created a life that feels authentic, something they can both be proud of. The company is thriving under James's leadership, with Claire by his side, not just as his wife, but as a true partner in every sense of the word. The public may still see them as the power couple, but behind closed doors, they know the truth. Their connection is real, built on a foundation of mutual respect, support, and love. One evening, as they sit in the quiet of their living room, looking out over the city they've come to call home, James turns to Claire with a smile. "I never thought I'd be here, like this, with you," he says softly. "When we first got married, I never imagined we'd get to this point. But I'm glad we did." Claire looks at him, her heart full. "Me too," she replies. "I never thought it would turn out like this. I thought I was just doing what I had to do, but now I can't imagine my life without you." James takes her hand in his, squeezing it gently. "I've never been happier, Claire. And I'm proud of what we've built, together." As they sit there, the weight of everything they've been through feels lighter. They've made it through the darkest moments, and now they're stronger for it. The road hasn't been easy, but they've learned that love doesn't always follow a straight path. It's messy, complicated, and sometimes unpredictable, but it's worth it. Their journey, from a fake marriage to something real, has taught them both invaluable lessons about trust, vulnerability, and what it means to truly care for someone. They know that there will still be challenges ahead. Life is never without its obstacles, and the future is always uncertain. But for the first time, they face it with confidence, knowing they have each other. Together, they've built something worth fighting for. The past may have been complicated, but the future is theirs to create. And no matter what happens, they're ready to face it together.